I'm Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Friday, February 23rd. A Quincy woman is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries after a car she was driving crashed and flipped over at the Four River Rotary in Quincy early this morning. Police say a 2013 Toyota Corolla driven by 37-year-old Maureen Mannion struck a curb and rolled over coming from Weymouth into Quincy over the Four River Bridge just after 2 a.m. Police say Mannion was thrown about 20 feet from the vehicle but was conscious. She was taken to Boston Medical Center for treatment and will be cited for several motor vehicle violations. Police say Mannion was alone in the car and no other vehicles were involved in the crash. Early voting for the March 5th Super Tuesday presidential primary election begins tomorrow. Here in Quincy, City Clerk Nicole Crispo explains that early voting will take place in the Great Hall at Quincy City Hall tomorrow from 8:30 to 5, Sunday 8:30 to 2:30, and next Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4:30. Tomorrow is also the last day to register to vote in the March 5th primary. Crispo says the last day to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is February 27th. Mail-in ballots must be received at the city clerk's office by March 5th at 8 p.m. There is a ballot drop box located outside City Hall. And in-person voting will take place March 5th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at all 31 precincts in Quincy. Crispo says changes have been made to several polling locations to make it easier for voters to access the polls. There will be no school on March 5th to allow for voting. The Quincy 400 celebration next year is expected to reap big financial rewards for the city. City Council recently approved spending $600,000 from the city's Hotel Motel Tax Fund to begin planning the events for 2025. Chief Financial Officer Eric Mason predicted that for every dollar the city spends on Quincy 400, it will earn back almost $3. This year, the city says it will begin planning events that could include concerts, lecture series, museum exhibits, programs in the schools, and expanding existing events, including the Lunar New Year and Flag Day and Christmas parades. 8 more speed restrictions along the MBTA's Red Line have been removed after some extensive track work earlier this month. The T says they've removed speed restrictions southbound between Davis and Porter and Alewife and Davis, and northbound between Davis and Alewife. Crews installed 2,500 feet of new rail, replaced dozens of signals and switches, and performed critical sealing work on tunnels. Service was suspended for 10 days between the Alewife and Harvard and Park Street stations in the evenings in order for the work to be completed. Crews also cleaned and painted wooden benches, made upgrades to flooring, stairways, and handrails, improved HVAC systems, and station signage. The T says the 10-day shutdown from February 5th through the 14th allowed crews to perform work that would have taken at least 6 months to complete during temporary shutdowns. And the T says more Red Line shutdowns are planned on the Braintree branch for March. Visiting hours for Quincy attorney George Burke will be held Sunday from 3 to 8 p.m. at Cohane Funeral Home. A 10:30 Mass will be said Monday at St. Anne's Church. Burke died last week at the age of 91. He was a former city councilor, state representative, and Norfolk County district attorney. He's also remembered as a standout basketball player and generous philanthropist to many local charities and civic groups. Donations in his memory may be made to Father Bills and Mainspring. The Quincy Symphony Orchestra will perform their classical concert 2 this Sunday at 2:30 at the North Quincy High School Auditorium. The concert will feature works by Beethoven and Mendelssohn with musicians from the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Concert is free and open to all. The Quincy Fire Department, Local 792, will host their annual Bowl-a-thon to raise money for Alzheimer's disease research. Tomorrow night from 6 to 10 p.m. at O'Lindy's on Quincy Avenue. Music, raffles, and snacks will be part of the event, and $25 tickets will be available at the door. Congressman Stephen Lynch says Steward Health Care wants to abandon plans to reopen Norwood Hospital. The hospital has been closed since it flooded in June of 2020 when nearly 6 inches of rain fell in just a few hours. A new facility was being built on the same property, but construction stopped recently. According to the Boston Globe, contractors have not been paid. Lynch toured the site and another Steward Hospital, Good Samaritan Medical Center in Brockton, a day after Governor Healy told Steward to essentially get out of the hospital business in the state. Steward Healthcare is millions of dollars in debt, and the future of all 10 of its hospitals in Massachusetts are in doubt. Lynch agreed with Healy's demand that Steward CEO Ralph De La Torre come up with documents laying out Steward's finances by the end of the day today to prove the hospitals are properly staffed and open to monitoring. The state's trying to come up with a rescue plan to sell each facility or allow another healthcare system to take over, but the Healy administration said the for-profit hospital group is not cooperating. Lynch said he was first told about the Steward crisis about a month ago. Now, prosecutors this week revealed that DNA evidence implicates Karen Reed in the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe in Canton. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Massachusetts has turned over findings from a federal probe that involves witnesses and law enforcement in the murder trial of Reed. She's accused of backing over her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, in Canton and leaving him to die in a January 2022 blizzard. She was charged with second-degree murder, motor vehicle manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a collision in connection with O'Keefe's death. On Wednesday, a new filing from the prosecution offered additional details. It says that O'Keefe's DNA has been found on Reed's broken taillight and that testing found that tiny pieces of taillight discovered in his clothing are consistent with broken pieces from Reed's taillight. Reed's lawyers claim she's being framed at a massive cover-up and that feds have been investigating the probe into O'Keefe's death. It's unclear exactly who the feds are investigating or why. In a series of 2023 letters between the Norfolk DA's office and federal authorities released last month, Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey asked for the federal investigation to be moved out of Massachusetts. In a massive 301-page filing, prosecutors said they soon expected to receive documents from federal authorities. Reed is scheduled to be back in court on Monday. A large wind farm off the coast of Martha's Vineyard that began sending electricity to the grid in January is now producing more megawatts to power 30,000 Massachusetts homes. Massachusetts' first offshore wind project, Vineyard Wind 1, delivered power for the project's first phase to the New England electric grid. Project, which is the first large-scale offshore wind farm in the nation to begin initial operations, now has 5 turbines of the 62 planned operating at full capacity and is currently generating 68 megawatts of power, enough to power 30,000 homes in Massachusetts. Officials say Vineyard Wind, an 806-megawatt project located 14 miles off the coast of the Vineyard, will eventually generate electricity for more than 400,000 homes and businesses across Massachusetts. Well, the month comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. In that spirit, commuters will have to navigate several weekend closures on multiple MBTA lines at the beginning of March, as the T announced new schedules for repair work across the system to uphold safety standards. Yesterday, T officials said the repair work will affect the Green, Red, Orange, Kingston, Middleborough, Greenbush, Framingham, Worcester, Haverhill, and Newburyport, Rockport lines. On the Red Line, the weekend of March 2nd and 3rd between Park Street and JFK UMass Red Line will be suspended all day. Free shuttle buses will be provided at the Park Street and JFK UMass stops. On March 23rd and 24th, Red Line trains between Broadway and Ashmont on the Ashmont branch and between Broadway And North Quincy on the Braintree branch will be suspended all day. Bus will replace train service between Broadway and JFK UMass on the Ashmont branch and between Broadway and North Quincy on the Braintree branch. The commuter rail will be fare-free between Braintree, Quincy Center, JFK UMass, and South Station during the Red Line service change on March 23rd and 24th. The fare will also be free on the affected lines March 30th and 31st. A check of business news this morning. Stocks soared. The Dow shot up 456 points. The Nasdaq rose 460. And the S&P added 105. Asian markets mostly higher. The dollar was up slightly. The euro rose. Oil at $78 a barrel. In sports, Celtics beat the Bulls in Chicago 129-112. They'll take on the Knicks in New York tomorrow night at 8:30. Bruins lose in Calgary 3-2 in overtime, and they take on Vancouver tomorrow night at 7. Forecast from the National Weather Service. Today, off and on rain, the high of 44 degrees. Partial clearing tonight, low of 34. Tomorrow, partly sunny, windy, and brisk with a high of 33. Sunday, sunny, high 39. And partly cloudy on Monday, the high Monday near 50 degrees. Out on the water, waves about 2 feet, wind out of the south. Right now, 5 to 10, gusting to 20. Will turn northwest later today. High tide 10:44 a.m. Sunrise 6:29, sets at 5:25. A traffic note for River Bridge, scheduled to open Friday at 10:30 and Saturday at 10 a.m. I'm Joe Catalano with an AM Quincy news update for Friday, February 23rd.